today we're going to look at some questions that I've received from clients, and I'm going to answer them now. I have always been trying to set goals and be productive day to day, but I keep having multiple false starts, then eventually give up and start again. I'd love to not keep starting again. What can you do to help with this, and what is involved from my part? So we've got a couple of things here. It looks like it may be that you haven't really set your goals, or if you have, you may not have done it properly. What I mean by that is checking that your goals are actually congruent with your core values. So for example, if I say today, I want to be a fit person, and that's because I want to look like that person. Becoming like that person and looking like that person is not something that I care enough about to motivate me, for example, to exercise. However, there is a certain level of fitness, health, perhaps a certain silhouette that I'd like to achieve, and therefore I know that exercising gives me so many benefits that it's definitely worth spending some time on it. You may also be struggling because of not having enough focus. So if you don't know what it is exactly that you're trying to achieve, it will be very difficult for you to get there. And it's like with anything else. Imagine that you want to lose weight, but if you don't know how many kilograms you want to lose, you might find it very hard to lose even 1 kilogram, because there is no finish line there for you, and you don't know what you're working towards and what strategies to use to actually achieve that goal. Another reason might be that you haven't been managing yourself emotionally in the best way. So when it comes to simple things and short-term goals or maybe tasks, it's a little bit easier, I imagine, achieving those. And then if it's a one-off thing, that consistency isn't needed so much. However, the moment you are working towards, say, developing a skill, a promotion at work, it takes many steps to actually get there. So if you take some steps and then skip others, and on top of that you don't really know what steps exactly it's going to take, and for a couple of months you're doing really well, then something distracts you, something happens, and it's fine to get distracted and attend to whatever it is that has become a priority. Life happens, health issues happen, family problems happen, all sorts of things. But then it's important to really go back to it immediately, not let yourself be like, I've not done it today, so it's okay to do also those other things. If I've not read my book today, it's okay not to eat healthily, or if I've not done my exercise today, it's okay not to do it tomorrow either. So it's just to understand that it's fine to go off track, but then it's not fine to repeat it just because you've done it once, and then that means that you start avoiding doing what you decided to do, so you lose your motivation. And of course, if you're committed, it's not going to happen. So that's another thing I'd recommend working on, that I talk about in another video, and that video is what's the secret to keeping motivated, congruent with your core values, goals, strong focus, and then overcoming your mental barriers, overcoming the emotional barrier of procrastination, which I always highlight is not a time management skill type of challenge. In most cases, it's relatively easy to learn to manage your time well. It's much more difficult to stick to what that means actually and what you've learned. So I hope this answers the question, what you can do at your end to stop starting over again and again. I often see people in life doing better than me at their work and life, and I ask, why can't I be that person? I would probably advise that comparing yourself to someone else is not going to have a positive impact on the whole process of your motivation and your perception of yourself, and how we perceive ourselves affects the way we work, we interact with others. So a good start would be just focusing on yourself. So yes, why can't I be, if you want to necessarily say that, what I would like to be like instead. And it's fine to know that you've observed these traits in other people, and that you would like to learn them. In fact, it's a very good idea to model those traits. So instead of comparing yourself to those people, think, what is it that makes them really good at what you consider worth comparing yourself to, and look at it as something to work towards. So if they're very say industrious, you could see what makes them be so industrious, whether it's just their upbringing, or whether it's actually because they really care about what they do, whether it's because it's their passion, whether it's because it's just become a habit. There may be different reasons for that. So speaking to that person would be a very good idea. Of course, there are so many sources of information available online these days, so you will probably easily find this kind of person speaking about it, for example, on YouTube. One thing that I think I like to draw people's attention to is that luck is self-made to a high degree. We get lucky once we've planned and once we've put a lot of effort and hard work into it. If you look at very successful people in this world, they've all worked really hard and have spent loads of time doing what has made them get where they are. And that's why very often they're passionate about what they do, because without that it's very difficult to spend so much time in your life doing something that you don't really enjoy. So perhaps that's something to think about as well. Is that thing that you're trying to get better at something that you care about, that is based on one of your values, and is your why strong enough to sacrifice, to trade off some advantages or some other benefits, not necessarily financial, sometimes financial as well, on a temporary basis. I don't want to be a millionaire, I just want to be better with my finances. Can you help? It is a matter of developing a certain understanding and of finances and being able to manage your money, but again, that emotional side of managing money is extremely important, and that's something I help people with, to get that focus, to understand that value that money has to you, and to plan for taking particular specific steps to actually get you to the next level. Because in coaching, for example, we look at your vision and we look at where you want to get, but the benefit of being coached on your finances is that we break everything down into manageable steps, and this way you are able to see certain results relatively quickly, and that gives you motivation to carry on. Because let's be honest, making these changes isn't easy in itself, let alone for a long period of time, which effective sustainable change takes. So my role is to help you get that focus, help you know what information to acquire, and find out about what meaning this would have for you, and what skills you need to develop those skills, and advise throughout the process if you need that as well, guide you more as a mentor perhaps than a coach when it comes to giving advice, and help you direct yourself to the sources of information and support that make a big difference in the process of change, be it financial or any other change. what can you do that makes the biggest impact in my life? I've come through different change in my life, and I moved to the UK from Poland over 10 years ago. I've had to learn English as a second language. I've bought a property here that I saved for and worked hard for. I've been to different places around the world, which I also had to save for, because the money wasn't handed over to me by anyone. And I've had to learn to be a little bit less Polish, I guess, and more British, without forgetting about my own identity. So I think overall, what I'm trying to say is that I've adapted really well, and then I decided to educate myself on the process of change and how I can help others achieve that change, because change can be only achieved by yourself. No one can do these things for you, but having someone on your side and at your side who is able to, every single time you get distracted, every single time you lose focus, every single time you trip over, you lose motivation, you feel like you want to give up, you feel like you don't know what to do, every single time there is someone who you can talk to, sometimes also give advice, but show you those things that you can't see yourself, because you are in your own body and your own mind. So it's very difficult to see certain things, even when you see them when you are extremely self-aware, and after a while you become very self-aware. But then knowing how to use that self-awareness instead of going crazy, because it can actually make you super sensitive and make you overthink a little bit. So how to use that sensitivity, that clarity and focus to your advantage, and how to make it propel you in your endeavors for a fulfilling and successful life. So I hope this has been helpful, and that I've answered the questions at least to a certain degree. And if you've got any, please post them below this video, and I'll be grateful if you could like this video and subscribe.